Welcome to Real Talk Vietnam. If you're planning your first trip to Vietnam, one of the first things you need to get right is your visa. And if you get it wrong, it can turn into a stressful problem before your trip even begins. So in this video, I'll walk you through the Vietnam e-visa process step by step in a simple and practical way. We'll cover what the e-visa is, who can apply, the official websites you should use, what documents you need, how the process works, how much it costs, how long it usually takes, and the most common mistakes first-time visitors should avoid. This is not legal advice, and visa rules can change, so always check the official Vietnam immigration websites before you apply. But if you want a clear, beginner-friendly explanation, this video will help. Let's start with the basics. As of this recording, Vietnam offers e-visas to citizens of all countries and territories. According to the official tourism and immigration sources, Vietnam's e-visa can be valid for up to 90 days, and it can be issued as either single entry or multiple entry. That's important because many older blog posts and videos still mention outdated rules. So if you've seen older content saying Vietnam e-visas are only for certain nationalities or only for shorter stays, be careful. That information may no longer be current. Now, what exactly is an e-visa? An e-visa is an electronic visa that you apply for online before you travel. If approved, you receive an electronic visa document that you can print and use when entering Vietnam. For most first-time travelers from the United States or Canada, this is usually the simplest and most practical way to get permission to enter Vietnam. Now, here's the first real talk point. Only use the official government websites. The official immigration portal has announced that the Vietnam electronic visa system operates on the domains evisa.gov.vn and thithukdientu.gov.vn. That matters because if you search Vietnam visa online, you may see a lot of third-party websites that look official, even when they are not. Some of them charge much higher service fees, and some of them create confusion by making travelers think they are on a government site. So if you take only one thing from this video, take this. Apply through the official government portal. Now let's talk about what you need before you start the application. First, you need a valid passport. Second, you need a digital image of your passport data page. Third, you need a portrait photo of yourself. According to the official instructions, the portrait should be a straight-looking photo without glasses, and you'll also need a clear image of your passport data page. You should also prepare your travel details before starting the form. That means your intended entry date, your entry checkpoint, your exit checkpoint, your intended length of stay, and basic trip information such as where you plan to stay or who you plan to contact in Vietnam if that information is requested in the form. You also need a working email address because your application information and registration details are connected to your email. And this brings us to one of the biggest mistakes people make: rushing. Do not fill out your Vietnam e-visa application in a hurry. This is not something to do while distracted, half asleep, or multitasking. A small typo in your name, passport number, or date of birth can cause a big problem. So now let's go step by step. Step 1. Go to the official e-visa website. Again, use the official government portal, not a random blog or visa agency page pretending to be official. Step 2. Read the instructions carefully before you click forward. This sounds obvious, but many people skip the instructions and then make mistakes that could have been avoided. Step 3. Upload your passport data page image and your portrait photo. Make sure the images are clear, well-lit, and easy to read. If your passport photo page is blurry, cropped badly, or blocked by glare, you are creating unnecessary risk for yourself. Step 4. Fill in your personal information exactly as it appears in your passport. That includes your full name, date of birth, nationality, sex, passport number, and any other required fields. And when I say exactly, I mean exactly. Do not improvise. Do not shorten your name. Do not guess. Do not assume your middle name doesn't matter. Match your passport details as precisely as possible. Step 5. Enter your trip information. This usually includes your purpose of entry, your intended entry date, and your intended ports of entry and exit. This step matters more than many first-time travelers realize. Vietnam has multiple international airports, land borders, and seaports that accept e-visa entry and exit. So you need to choose the correct checkpoint based on your actual trip plan. If you are flying into Hanoi, choose the correct airport for Hanoi. If you are flying into Ho Chi Minh City, choose the correct airport there. Double-check this carefully before submitting. Step 6. Review everything before payment. This is the moment to slow down. Read your full name again. Read your passport number again. Read your date of birth again. Read your entry date again. Read your entry and exit checkpoints again. Look for missing letters, number swaps, date errors, or anything that doesn't match your passport or your flight plan. Step 7. Pay the e-visa fee. According to the official instructions, the fee is $25 for a single entry e-visa and $50 for a multiple entry e-visa. The official site also notes that the fee is not refunded if the application is refused. So again, review your information before paying. Step 8. Save your registration code. This is extremely important. The official instructions say that after you submit your information, you receive a registration code, and you use that code along with your email and date of birth to check your result. If you lose this code, your process becomes much more annoying than it needs to be. So save it in more than one place. Take a screenshot, email it to yourself, put it in your Notes app. Do whatever works for you, but don't lose it. Step 9. Wait for the result. According to the official instructions, your application will be processed in 3 working days. Now, real talk, that does not mean you should apply at the last minute. 3 working days is the official processing time in the instructions, but travel planning is much less stressful when you give yourself buffer time. If you wait too late and something needs to be corrected, you may create unnecessary pressure before your flight. So apply early enough that you still have room to fix a mistake if needed. If your e-visa is approved, download it and print it. The official instructions specifically say to print the e-visa to enter or exit Vietnam. I strongly recommend keeping both a printed paper copy and a digital copy on your phone. That way, if your phone battery dies, your internet fails, or an airline or immigration officer wants to see a printed version, you have a backup ready. Now let's talk about the biggest mistakes first-time travelers make with the Vietnam e-visa process. Mistake number 1, using the wrong website. If the site feels like a private service, charges strange extra fees, or looks unclear about whether it is official, be careful. Mistake number 2, entering passport details incorrectly. Even one wrong number or one missing part of your name can create a problem. Mistake number 3, choosing the wrong entry checkpoint. Your visa details should match your travel plan. Mistake number 4, waiting too late to apply. Even if the official processing time says 3 working days, you do not want to be panicking right before your departure. Mistake number 5, forgetting to save the registration code. Mistake number 6, assuming old blog posts are still correct. Visa rules change. Always trust current official sources over outdated travel content. Mistake number 7, not printing the approved e-visa. Keep a printed copy. Now, one question people often ask is, should I choose single entry or multiple entry? The answer depends on your trip. If you will enter Vietnam once and stay for one continuous trip, a single entry visa may be enough. If you plan to enter Vietnam, leave to another country, and then return to Vietnam again within the visa validity period, then a multiple entry visa may make more sense. But don't choose based on guesswork. Choose based on your actual itinerary. Another common question is, what if my application is delayed or there is a mistake? The safest answer is this: do not assume everything will work itself out at the last minute. That's why early preparation matters. The more time you give yourself, the more calmly you can deal with any issue. And remember, this is one of the reasons this channel exists. Real Talk Vietnam is here to help first-time visitors avoid stress before they even land. So let's end with a simple Vietnam e-visa checklist. Before applying, make sure you have a valid passport, a clear passport data page image, a portrait photo, your intended entry and exit details, your travel dates, a working email address, and enough time before your trip. While applying, make sure you use the official portal, fill in your information exactly as shown in your passport, review everything carefully, pay the correct fee, and save your registration code. After approval, make sure you download your e-visa, print it, save a digital backup, and carry it with you for travel. It may still feel a little intimidating the first time, but it is manageable when you slow down and follow the official steps carefully. If this video helped you, subscribe to Real Talk Vietnam for more honest Vietnam travel guides. In the next videos, we'll cover Vietnam scams to avoid, realistic itineraries, airport arrival, money, apps, and food for first-time visitors. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next Real Talk Vietnam guide.